restless. It weighs heavy on my heart. Where to start? Gotta get this off my chest like bench press. Chippy never run out of bars, but United they run out of ideas like Pinterest. Countless unforced errors from the high press. Whole of defense was a hot mess. Who's to blame? Take a wild guess. I said since Dortmund I've been restless. It weighs heavy on my heart. Where to start? Gotta get this off my chest like bench press. Chippy never run out of bars, but United they run out of ideas like Pinterest. Countless unforced errors from the high press. Whole of defense was a hot mess. Who's to blame? Take a wild guess.
Yo, this is the OT99 Banter, where opinions are shared and smoke gets served. Look, Manchester United took another L, man. The third L in our pre-season tour in the States. Our last game in the States in Vegas. And whatever happens in Vegas, it's got to stay there, man. There ain't nothing to talk about in that game. But I'm lying. It was a bit of good and a bit of bad. Look, Manchester United, obviously when we lose a game, any game, it's not a good look. We don't like to see it. Manchester United fans want to get the W, but ultimately, we want to see also a style of play being implemented. Guys getting up to match fitness and all of those other important things that get you ready for the season ahead. But it was just an upsetting, it's a bitter pill to swallow basically seeing Manchester United, especially how we conceded those goals. Those goals that we conceded, man, was terrible, man. It was terrible and I didn't like that, man. Especially, it looked like a team where we were just starting our pre-season tour. But we're already coming to the conclusion of it, the end of it, and we're making those errors like that. So I'll start off with the formation anyway. When I looked at the formation, it's clear to see, if you know Erik ten Hag now, you've watched him all season, what he likes to do is overload the opposition's box. He wants to have 5 or 6 players up there, and it's a big breath of fresh air. It's a big change because during Mourinho days or even Louis van Gaal days, it felt like we only had 1 or 2 men in the box and we just never were going to score that way. Since Oli came, we became a little bit more attacking, actually a lot more attacking. And then obviously now you've seen it with Erik ten Hag, he likes to overload the opposition's third. So what we saw is, you know, at times you'll see like Brandon Williams, we'll see Martinez, and I don't know who else. Who else was there? Martinez, maybe Lindelof at centre back 3, and then you'll see Aaron Wan-Bissaka push up high when he was on the pitch, or vice versa. We'll just have three centre backs, and then we'll have one DM, whether it be a Casemiro or whoever was playing, Scott McTominay. And then you will have like the rest of them, like a Mount, Bruno, and the rest of the forwards pushing up. And it helps a lot with our attack, because it helps us to press up high with a lot of man around, pressing the opposition. And also allows more passing opportunities, more passing lanes and angles, man, to find your man. Do you know what I mean? But it also, the negatives of that is it leaves us vulnerable in defence, man, because if you lose that ball, the quick turnaround and transition and that counter-attack could be lethal, you know, because you're left with just a Casemiro in the midfield up against the opposition. So, which is why we've got guys like Mount and Bruno, or Mount brought into the side, and guys like Anthony and all of these guys which have got a lot of high work rate, a lot of speed. We need a lot of aggression. Fitness is also key, so that they are able to get back just as much as they get forward and support Casemiro in defence and support our back 3 as well in defence. And obviously we got Onana as well, which acts as a sweeper keeper as well, that helps mitigate some of those counter attacks as well. So we're seeing a clear pattern, and which is good, because in previous seasons, no one really knew what our style of play was. Like under Oli, for example, no one knew what our style of play was. No one can see like a structure. If anything, the only thing that we could talk about was our counter-attacking football, and that was it. There was no real sustainable style of play. But with Erik ten Hag, you can see a formation, you can see it's either going to be 3-2-5 or 3-1-6. And you can see now with his goalkeeper, he's playing that sweeper keeper person that can act as that fourth defender in the back 3, fourth man to make it a 4, or deep line playmaker at times with the way it comes out so far. For me, I'm liking what I see in terms of the structure, in terms of the style of play, but obviously we need to be executing these philosophies and executing it in a game where we're being ruthless and getting those goals. And we keep seeing signs of what we saw last season with shades of lack of ruthlessness, lack of consistency. Lack of ruthlessness and lack of consistency. Now, I'll talk about some of the good things that I saw. Dolo was one of the key good things, you know. Him on the ball, you can just see like the growth in class when Delor's on his A game. You can see the growth in class in terms of him with the ball. He's really comfortable with the ball. His link-up play is excellent, and you can see he's a goal-scoring fullback, and that's the difference as well. So you've got Un-Defendable, who's the best defensively on one-on-one defending. But when you've got someone like Un-Defendable, when you've got someone, like Delor, that can take that ball like he did, bend that ball around the man and aim it for the top bins, that's hard to compete with. When you've got a fullback that's a goal-scoring fullback, as well as being good on the ball, it's hard to compete with. But do you know what? I love the fact that we've got two fullbacks when they're at the peak of their powers. You really don't know who to choose. You really don't know who to choose, because in some games you want the security of Un-Defendable, but then you also want the link-up play and the forward-thinking prowess of Diego Delor. And I like the fact that we've got two of them competing and battling it out. And Un-Defendable, a big shout out to him, even though he was rusty and he gave away one of those goals with a poor pass. He worked hard to get back into this team. He worked hard for people like me and you fans watching him to still be around at Manchester United to discuss about in the first place. So I give a big shout out to Un-Defendable and Delor as well, man. But another positive was Anthony, man. Anthony as well, like he has his good elements, he has his bad elements. Obviously, his defensive work is amazing. It's top notch. We saw him in the game against Dortmund, tracking back. Like the work rate was on 10. Do you understand? And he helps you out in these games where he acts as that another defensive cover, where you ain't worrying as a fullback behind Anthony, man, worrying about defensive duties. He's always there to chip in and help out a fullback. You know what I mean? So it gives that fullback, like your Delor, the freedom to be able to get forward and not worry too much about just being left isolated. You know what I mean? Even when he's getting attacked, he's not got the worry about being isolated by himself, because he's got someone like Anthony and he put in the shift on, right? And obviously he had an opportunity as well. He got his goal, right place, right time again, overloads. That's what happens. The ball bounced in a position where Anthony took advantage of it. He smacked it into the low bottom right corner, drilled it. It was nice. It was a nice, well-taken goal. But we also saw the other shade of Anthony where he missed like an opportunity to score. Do you know when Rashford sort of took that ball towards the end of the game? I would have said Rashford got the ball in long over the head. He dribbled past a defender, sort of opened his body up wide. He done a Thierry Henry-esque type shot. The keeper palmed it out, and then the ball fell to Anthony, and Anthony just off target. And this is the thing, it's like, with all of the goods, you have your bads, and this is some of the shades of, these are some of the things that we saw last season in terms of taking your opportunity, taking those chances, because you can't afford to be close. You ain't going to be able to close the gap against the Cities, or even the Liverpools this season, or even Chelsea or Arsenal, when you've got forwards like that, or missing opportunities like that to even get the ball on target. We ain't even talking about putting away every single chance. Like, test the keeper, get it on target. We see countless times where Anthony cuts in, which is really good because he's still able to cut in. He's predictable, people know that, but his speed, his skill and his strength allows him to still countless times cut in and get his shot off. But the problem is when he does that, it's not on target it's not on target, not as much as we would like to see as fans anyway. Do you know what I mean? Even though we had a good goal scoring record last season, it was decent, I would say, decent. It's just too many times that it goes off target, and the game against Dortmund, we saw it again. It was an opportunity, and it was just off target. So I didn't really like that in that game against with Anthony. But with regards to the positives, Onana again, we're seeing Onana time and time again showcase what he's about. He's a guy that hasn't come to play. This is a dream for him. He realizes what it means to wear the shirt, the Manchester United shirt. He realizes how big the club is. He realizes the responsibility that he has. You've heard him in interviews saying Manchester United is one of the biggest clubs in the world, if not the biggest club in the world. It was his dream to play for Manchester United, and he's not taking it for granted. And you saw him, just like I did, get aggressive with Harry Maguire. He got, a bit, not aggressive I would say, but he was shouting. He was letting him know that, you know what, you can't be making those type of mistakes. I'm going to be on to you. This is my area, and I command my area, and I'm going to let you know when you've done something wrong. And I commend that, because he's just someone that's just come into the fold. And for him to talk about for him to talk to the ex-captain like that and say, do you know what, you need to fix up. and let him know, then it keeps our defenders on our toes as well. There's no relaxing here. It's gone out the days where guys are coming in and then they're like, oh, starstruck, oh wow, oh Ronaldo, oh wow, Rooney, oh wow, Tevez, all of these guys. None of that. We need guys that are not only willing to wear the shirt and know what it means, but also have the mentality here. You know, the Bruno mentality, do you know what I mean? The Casemiro, the Varane, you know, Onana's fitting that mold, Shaw's grown into that mold. Guys with mentality that don't really care about who you are, what your status is. They respect you, but they'll also point things out where you start to go a bit wrong, where you're putting in mistakes. And I like that Onana does that, man, because David De Gea is a big contrast. Obviously, David De Gea was one of the best shot stoppers out there, but he's a bit quiet and he's a bit timid. He's not going to be running up to guys telling them what they done right and what they done wrong like that. I can see him getting upset at times and huffing and puffing inside and look up in the air. And at times he will speak, but it's not as much as you would want from your goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? You want them to command the area. And Onana, man, we can see it again. Like this game, the precision, man. He'll get that ball, he'll roll it out, or he'll have it to his feet. He'll create an angle out of nowhere, roll it back up to like Shaw or Brandon Williams or something like that, or he'll pick up the ball or kick it like a long ball to Rashford. The precision of it was just amazing, and defenders haven't had to worry about something like that in the past with David De Gea. They have to worry about it now, because you ain't got to only worry about our defenders doing it like a Lindelof or Martinez or even Shaw. You've got to worry about our keeper, man. When you're coming to attack us, if a keeper gets this ball, picks it up quickly and is rushing and can find the ball like that on a runner, like Rashford or even Rasmus Højlund that we got in, now it's crazy. Like the defenders, the opposition have got to worry about two guys with blistering speed now. Like Rasmus Højlund is about 6'2", 6'3" or whatever. Big build. He's running like 100 meters or whatever it is in under 10, 11 seconds. He's got the speed. Like he's gonna be matching Rashford in them ways where he's running onto those free balls, running onto those balls over the defense and over the midfield, just those long balls, the route ones. He's gonna be there, and it's gonna give defenders a whole nother thing to think about, where you've got Rashford on one side, Rasmus Højlund on the other side with that blistering speed. And that's one thing that Sancho doesn't necessarily provide us. Obviously, he got one of his goals in the pre-season where he capitalized on Kobe Mainoo's pass, but the defenders kind of missed timing of the ball, and he took that ball on and he showed that speed, that balance, and put it away nicely. But it's not one thing that I really associate with Sancho's game, and I feel like with how we want to play, what we want to do, high transitions, all of that sort of stuff that Erik ten Hag is on about, high press, high transition type ball, the best transition team in the world. You need guys that's got that physicality. You need guys that's got that speed. You need guys that can ping that ball with the accuracy, like you're seeing with Eriksen, like you're seeing with Bruno, like you're now going to be seeing with Onana, Martinez and stuff like that. So I feel like Erik ten Hag is picking the right profile of players and has identified players for his system that he's trying to implement. And we're seeing that in these games. It's just about the execution. It's the execution for me. We need to be executing and bringing Erik ten Hag's ideas into fruition, because right about now there's inconsistencies, and Erik ten Hag has mentioned that time and time again about we're being able to beat any club in the world, we've been any team. He showed signs of beating Liverpool, City, Arsenal, like all the top six or whatever you want to call it now. We've shown that we can beat them. We've shown that we can beat Barcelona. Do you understand? But it's the inconsistencies. You saw it again in the Europa League against Sevilla. We let goals slip. We conceded 2 goals in a minute against Dortmund. You see how we capitulated against Sevilla and all these teams, like we just capitulated. And Manchester United's lack of concentration in these games is what is hurting us, and we saw signs of it in pre-season, and we don't want to be seeing that going forward. It's a mentality thing. These guys need to be switched on from minute 1 to minute 90 odd, whatever it goes up to. We need to be switched on every minute, every second of the game, and I just felt like we switched off against Dortmund. At times we switched off, and that's what led to our downfall. You saw Brandon Williams go into ground too early for the first goal, and then Marlon was left unmarked in the box. They got their goal there. We saw Lindelof trying to play out from the press, he made a mistake. He sort of turned around the defender. Wasn't really looking where I was passing. I didn't put enough weight on that ball. The defender intercepted it. It led to a goal as well. And we saw the third time where Wan-Bissaka made a sloppy pass again, where it was intercepted from the defender, and then they went on to score. But it was just individual errors that was very sloppy, and we can't be taking that into the season. What I would say is that we didn't get that broken down in play from Dortmund in that game. We looked very comfortable defensively, I would say, in terms of like in like not being cut open, not being split open from that aspect of things. But where it was a disaster and a calamity was from the fact of that the individual errors, and we looked worse with the first team than we did with the so-called B team on the pitch, and that's a concern. Do you know what I mean? So heading into the next game, I want to see like the first team, man. I want to see the first team starting the next game. I want to see, I want to see Rasmus. Maybe it would be too early for Rasmus Højlund. I've heard rumours that he could even play on the wing and Rashford still maintain up top, or Rasmus could actually be centre forward and Rashford on the wings. But I want to see, if anything, if Sancho's going to be playing, and he's been doing really well up top, being that sort of that deep lines, centre forward. He's been doing really well, dropping deep, linking up play. He's been doing really well in that sense. I have to big up Sancho, and he's fighting for his place, and he's been looking really sharp, so I have to give a big shout out to him. But what I want to see is the first team. Look, we've got a couple games left. The season's starting soon in a couple of weeks. I want to be seeing the first team get 90 minutes. I don't really understand the point of guys like Brandon Williams getting 60 minutes if there's no future for him. Do you know what I mean? Forcing as well. He's getting minutes. But is he going to be starting? Do you understand? Like, this is the business end of pre-season now. Is Forsen going to be getting any game time? And just to touch on Forsen, I know you can see the maturity that needs to be come with these games. He's a young lad. You can see he was getting riled up, and Erik ten Hag pulled him off pretty early up than he probably wanted to, and gave him a talking to. And you can see Forsen was upset about that as well. But I liked what I saw. I liked the fact that he got pulled off, and Erik ten Hag took his time to discuss and explain why he took him off. Do you understand? Because I could have easily have seen Forsen getting booked again, potentially getting a red card, and that's not what we want to see in our pre-season. So I think it'll be a good learning curve for Forsen. He's obviously got some exposure, but I think it'll be a good learning curve mentally and how you manage those situations. So when he's watching that game back, he'll be able to see, okay, maybe this guy was trying to get under my skin, trying to round me up. I know what to do next time and manage it appropriately so that we don't put my whole team in jeopardy if I force and get sent off, for example. But going back to it, I just don't know why we're starting these guys now. I feel like we need to move on now to more of the first team, and I hope we start to see, these guys get, 90 minutes under their belt. Obviously, Sancho got brought off in the second half. He got about 70 odd plus minutes. All the other team got rotated, and the first team came on, and we just looked poor for it. But I want to see them build up their match fitness, because I think the goals that we conceded was down to a bit of concentration, match sharpness, and we got to eliminate that. We really have to eliminate that. Do you know what I mean? So these guys need to be getting their minutes. They need to be getting their minutes, man. Give these first teamers a good 80 minutes or 90 minutes, whatever it is. And just keep it pushing, man, because we have got to start strong. We can't be afforded to be starting the season like we did last season, when we lost the season, 3 points dropped Brentford, points dropped Brighton. We can't afford to start the season like that, not with our competitors that are building, spending 200 plus million, X amounts of million, and strengthening their squads. And we can't afford to be dropping points like that. So the good thing is that we're getting in our players earlier. Hopefully the next target is Sofra and Amrabat, if we can get some sales. And then we can have all of our players in pretty early. Unlike last season where Casemiro came in pretty late. Do you understand? I feel that will help us a lot, and I feel like, if we've got all of our unit together, more time to train once, more time to get to know each other, more time to build up that unit and that familiarity of what Erik ten Hag wants with his play. And hopefully we can start hit the ground running and hopefully start to pick up points ASAP. But do you know what, overall, we keep it pushing, we move on, man. I'll be watching these games thoroughly with an eagle eye, man, just with an eagle eye, man, just trying to pinpoint some of the things where we can improve on, things that we're doing well. And I'd just like to hear your thoughts on it as well, man. Let me know what you thought of that game, whether you're worried whether you feel like it's just pre-season anyway, and you know we're building on, we're getting the right players in. Let me know your thoughts, man. But for me, I've let you know mine, and I'm just hoping that we can implement and bring the two worlds together. You know, consistency, as well as and implementing Eric Ten Hag style, as well as getting those results, man. I want to see them both. I want to see them married together in pre-season, especially when the season starts. But guys, remember to like, comment, subscribe, smash that like button. Let me know your thoughts on tour